All right, let's get rolling here. So thank you, partners, for hopping on here. We're going to talk today about our payments application. You may know us as having a few other applications, but the focus today is largely on payments. So we're going to spend a few minutes talking about some of the payments features and then some more specific things about partnering with us. So a little bit about our application. We work with Stripe only. So a lot of people ask us about PayPal, Authorize.net, Braintree, whatever it may be. It's Stripe only. That's not changing. So it's one thing to keep in mind. That we have worked with many companies to help them migrate over to Stripe if they're using something else. Currently, we support cards and ACH, a US unique bank transfer. We can support other methods of payment such as SEPA or other European direct debit networks or Apple Pay on the web. If you do have huge demand to be able to do those, that is an option. And we have a lot of other features that we'll talk about. We do have over 500 businesses that are live using the application now. So the big problem that we see is that you're only in business if you're getting money from somewhere. And the bulk of businesses using Salesforce, they don't have a way to manage the actual money from within Salesforce. An example is you close a deal and you want to take some money from somebody over the phone. You separately have to send it to someone in accounting, or you have to log into PayPal or something. But with our application, you can do it right over the phone using our terminal, or you can send them out a payment request and make it a really seamless process for your customers. So the use cases of our app, if you want to take a payment over the phone, if you want to have recurring transactions get processed, we have a new feature, which we'll talk about today, to be able to receive and send money programmatically. If you want to work with our app within communities, if you want to have transactions auto-generate from CPQ Billing, if you're working with any kind of invoicing package, and also if you want to generate your own custom payment page using our REST or Apex APIs. So new feature of our app is Stripe Connect. Stripe Connect, in a simplest way to think about it, you can receive money from one or multiple parties, and then you can send it back out to one or multiple parties. Some big examples of this, Salesforce uses it, for example, with their App Exchange. They receive the money, then they send the balance out to you if you buy something using their checkout. Other ones is that if you have any companies that you work with that are time materials companies that use a lot of contractors, you receive the money from your customers and you send it back out to third parties then. Others are where you have middlemen or brokerages like MadePro, for example. They have a lot of 1099s that they receive money from their customers and they can send the money back out. If you've ever used Lyft, you've actually interacted with Stripe Connect to be able to do this. This is a paid add-on to our application. It's built in, but we have to remotely enable it to be able to use it. Quickly on our terminal, you may be familiar with this. We have a brand new terminal which works quite beautifully and seamlessly that you can add to any object, including communities. You can also pre-populate fields and manipulate which fields are included, required, add custom fields, all declaratively using field sets and custom metadata types. We have documentation up on our site on how to do that. The purpose of this call is to go over high-level features, not a lot of the technical specs. Using payment schedules, this is a really lightweight way for you to make a series of forward-looking transactions that can automatically charge on a specific schedule. There's no ability to do upgrade, downgrade, prorate, credit. It's not a subscription application. This is a really lightweight way to be able to process payments automatically using declarative means within our package. This is free in our package. And to talk a little bit about communities, we've had requests to make our app work with communities. All of our objects are native, so you can always put whatever you want into a community, but this usually requires people making some kind of UI. So the use case for our new terminal in the way that it works in communities, you can make certain fields read-only, particularly the account, the contact it's related to and the amount. So you can effectively have someone go to a page with all their information pre-filled, and they just have to add their payment method into the terminal to be able to use this in a community. The use case is free. There's a lot of apps out there that charge you per user to have this in a community. So this is a really nice way to be able to ask for payments in a community. As far as CPQ billing goes, the most common use case of any business is you sell something, you have an invoice, you need to make a payment for it. If you want to achieve the most common use case, we actually built this in about an hour using 2 process builders, where when the invoice gets created, you auto create a open transaction using process builder for the balance that's open for the invoice. Once that happens, you can then use our terminal on the invoice record, or you can programmatically send out a payment request from that transaction, which will then automatically pay for the billing. And it will create a payment record and create the allocation, which can then programmatically pay for the CPQ billing record. And this is not limited to CPQ billing. You can use this approach with any invoicing app. You are partners. We go above and beyond to help you. So if you have any questions about how we did this, we're happy to give you some insight into this so you can do this for your customers. And again, this use case here has no cost within our package. In terms of pricing, we do have some add-ons in our payments package. So the core app, the terminal, the payment schedules, the way that it works with webhooks. There's a card updater. So if someone's card is lost, expired, or stolen, that will automatically get updated in the package. This is all free. We do have some add-ons then. So if someone wants to use our payment request feature, we call it PayLink. It's $19 a user a month. We have a 5-user minimum, so it's basically 1.1K per year to get PayLink for the minimum number of users. If someone wants to use our APIs, we've now coupled that with dev support. We found that most people have some questions that we have to route to our dev team about how to interact with some of our APIs. It's all documented with use cases publicly on our doc site. But we do charge that at $4.90 a month, which is also billed annually. And this is what you can use to make any kind of custom REST or Apex-based page, depending upon if you're doing it in a community or from a public page. Our Stripe Connect feature set, we do have this as a pretty expensive add-on as far as some people think about it. But if you're working with a larger company, $60K a year is significantly less than it costs to do this project, either custom or have an on-site resource that's a really deep-level dev who will be able to build this. To build this from scratch without having any knowledge and being able to do this fully with even 1 or 2 people is probably going to take you 1+ years to partially support it. Our internal build cost for Stripe Connect features alone is over $1 million. So, you know, there's a very significant effort into going ahead and being able to build this feature set. So if you have anyone that wants to receive and programmatically send that money back out using Stripe Connect, look no further than being able to have time to market faster than being able to use this. And from a partner approach, if you're looking to implement this for a customer, it's a few months of implementation. The package will work out of the box. You don't need to do anything. You can have them live using it within 30 minutes. But usually companies that have a huge process of receiving money and sending it back out programmatically, not 1 a day, but 10, 50 a day, they have a lot of processes that they need to implement using either Flow or some kind of trigger-based process, something with process builders. There's a lot of work to be able to do around that. So if you can get a customer interested in Stripe Connect, it's going to net you a lot of services revenue, and we can help you significantly in getting that going. Then for our support is free with payments and the bulk of our applications, but we do have paid options to be able to get to our support. They're all referenced from our main page. Someone can upgrade to our support plans at any time. So the more interesting things, and this isn't the type of stuff that we've introduced to our other webinars that we've done, and I wanted to get through all the previous slides rather quickly and focus more on the forthcoming slides here to talk about more partner-specific things. So a big question is, why would you use payments over others? There's others that are really popular out there, like Chargent, Linvio. I think there's one called Blue Pay, and there's a few others. Big differences with us, a lot of them support a lot of other gateways. So if somebody currently has CyberSource authorized and they're refusing to change gateways, we're not a good fit. Someone's open to changing their gateway and they want to work with Stripe. Now Stripe charges 2.9% as a consolidated way of pricing charges out of the box if you're based in the US. If you're doing over $80,000 a month in the US of charges, they will work with you on the price. You can let us know, we can introduce you to our partner liaison there who can help route these. We've seen significant decreases in the rates for customers that have significant volume. When you get to 5 million, 10 million, 20 million annually of cards, the rate gets very, very competitive with all of the other processors. So that's something interesting about price that we've heard a lot from people. As far as the terminal, our terminal, aligned with that fourth bullet there, everything in our package is Lightning ready. Some of the other apps are not. We do get questions a lot about having a card swiper or even being able to have something that's like an Uber-esque button where you have a camera that pops up to read the digits on a card. Accessing external hardware device from Salesforce One is not the easiest thing. They have it pretty locked down. So you can use our terminal within Salesforce One. It's a Lightning component. You turn it on. It works beautifully. It's not going to swipe a card. It's not going to take a picture of the card. But you can type the card number into the terminal. If you want to do this from a clienteling perspective, that would be the use case. But if you do have someone that needs to use a card swiper, we are not the solution for that. Another big draw from our application, the bulk of it is free. It's the reason that we're getting a huge amount of customers. On Monday alone, this past Monday, we had 11 new businesses install the app and connect their environments. That is a significant number of customers who are adopting our application. The App Exchange told us that we have the fastest growing application that they've seen. The big draw is that it's free. All the other ones are paid that we've seen, and a big draw here is communities. Also, with communities, they usually charge per user, so that gets expensive very quickly. With us, it just doesn't happen. We also have REST and Apex APIs. A lot of other apps have Apex APIs, but not REST APIs, so this allows you to call our app functionality from a public page. We do have payment schedules built in at no additional cost, so you can create a series of forward-looking transactions using basically any kind of scenario you can dream of that schedule using our schedule. We also work with all objects within Salesforce from one package. There's other packages, other companies out there that have packages where you need up to even 4 managed packages in order to work with all objects. Using the metadata API, we dynamically create relationships to those other objects so we can only use one package. And you manage all of this from our setup wizard. You don't need to write any custom code. You just click the mouse a few times from our setup wizard and it will create these relationships. We also recently built in deployed rollups, so you don't have to build custom rollups anymore. The rollups will deploy from the transaction object to your parent. So if you pick opportunities, for instance, it will roll up the sum of open transactions, completed transactions, refunds, etc. So there's a lot that we do built in that you don't have to manage code with that you can now do declaratively with our application. We also support multi-currency without using the Salesforce multi-currency feature. If someone has multi-currency and you want to hook it to our multi-currency, you just align that to the currency ISO field of the transaction parent. And you can do that using Process Builder, Apex, whatever you want. It's a quite simple approach to being able to do that. Within our package, we also have an object called legal entity. So if you wanted to relate a transaction to multiple Stripe accounts, so if you had 5 businesses running out of one Salesforce environment, you would have 5 Stripe accounts, one tied to each bank account, connect all of those up as payment gateway records in our application, and your transaction would relate to that gateway related to that legal entity. So it's another nice mini feature of our application. So in terms of working with us, our goal is to grow through partners. I'm the person who talks to customers pre-sale. We have Ashley on the phone here too, who helps predominantly with support and also testing of our packages. Everybody else on our team is a dev or they're on the product side. We grow through our partner network. So it's very important for us to educate our partners on how our application works, because we rely on you to help to implement and spread the good word about our applications. We can help you with scoping any kind of deals. If you have funky architectural questions, we will help you on a much deeper sense than regular customers with our cases. And our goal is to not do implementations. We only do implementations when something requires a massive feature set that's not currently in our applications, which at this point with payments doesn't exist. So we rely on partners to be able to do all these implementations. Now, if you want to involve us in a deal, but you want us to do the work, you can subcontract us out to do the expert services, or you can connect us directly to the customer. But our ability to do services will be largely based upon our resourcing availability, which at this point has a very significant timeline in order to be able to have us help on something like this. So it's a lot easier for us to help from an architectural Q&A type of perspective than to actually do the work. But the rate will vary based upon what the need is, the timeline, the size of the project, what type of resourcing we would need. So we do have a Rev Share as part of our application. If you refer a deal alone, then we do 10 to 15% on the year one. If you do want to take on the tier one support on a recurring basis, it helps us to reduce our internal costs if you manage the support, so we can effectively forward on that internal cost as a recurring rev share to you for managing our other for managing support here. And this applies to all of our applications that are coming out soon. So we're going to have a lot more webinars and email blasts that will go out about these other applications we have, but this is something that you can keep in mind. We recently had a PayLink inquiry that resulted in a good size deal that we paid out the partner within a day of as soon as receiving the money from the customer on the rev share. And yeah, I think that's the bulk of what we were looking to cover. So are there any questions that anyone has that we can help to address? We recorded this, so we'll be able to send this out and share it with you. If you do have any questions, you can always email us with any questions that you have and we can help. But are there any questions at this time that anybody would like help with? Going once, going twice. Anyone? Okay, well, I hope we answered everything conceivable, or there's just a lot to absorb. Any comments on Stripe billing? Yeah, we do have some comments. So I'm going to stop recording and address your question for now. So here we go. Give me a moment.